Hello, everybody. Proxy Table Gaming PTG. I am Hyper G. I'm with Lucky Sixes.
In the house, baby, for a crazy battle.
Yes, and not just any battle, not just any crazy battle, but it is 3.0, baby. Yeah, it's here. It's here. And somewhat coinciding with a little bit of a break from ourselves, right?
Mm.
We've been away for
To
three
get our
weeks,
head
4 weeks,
around
I don't
things.
know.
Yeah, a little while.
Little while. But never
ETC
fear,
happened.
it did.
3.0 rules were given to us, and we
Yeah,
needed some time.
we
But we're
definitely
here,
needed some time.
and we
Yeah.
are 3.0 ready with, of course, one of the old favourites of our channel, the Saurians versus the Highborns, in
Yeah.
the first of many.
I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it will be. Yeah, we were very grateful to have received some 3.0 documents. Not the finalized documents. We got a version of that
Yeah.
was ready for
We got
us
about
to play
8
a battle with.
versions.
Well, yeah, we got about loads of versions. So we promptly decided to play a battle, didn't we? And get it out on the channel as a sort of
Yes.
pre-release stroke release day kind of battle for you to enjoy, to
Yeah, I
see
think
how
I
much
think
we
this
got
will.
wrong. No, no,
Yeah, I
not
think
really.
this will come out on release day, and it
Yeah.
is with any release day thing privy to the rules may well change, and we
But they're going to
certainly
change with the new version
they
anyway,
are.
right?
Yeah,
That's part of the
and
plan, isn't it?
and certainly our interpretation of everything, because we haven't got all the people, all the rules team in the
No,
garage, unfortunately.
no, we
Maybe
didn't.
one day. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, we're not here, so we may have got things wrong. But this is predominantly, we're pretty happy so far.
really happy.
Predominantly to show you the changes. We will be doing some other videos, some other recordings, so do like,
Hmm?
share, subscribe. And definitely subscribe, because if you're into 3.0 and wanting to know the changes, maybe some book reviews and things like that, then get on, press those buttons that you have to,
Mm.
and let us know in the comments what exactly you want to see in the next few weeks. We're already signed
Yeah.
up to a 3.0 tournament. There's talks
Ooh,
of a 3.0 league, an
there is.
online league and tournament, stuff like that. So plenty of content to come at you, but we just need to know what you want to see. So let us
Yeah.
know in the comments. And anybody that knows the rules more than us on day one, please do, as you always do, comment and correct us where you are.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll discuss on how some things are different and why they're
Yeah,
different and how you feel about that. Because
yeah,
many opinions floating around about 3.0, good and bad, and nervous and
absolutely, yeah.
enjoying. So yeah.
And
We'll
yeah,
just
I
see how we
guess
go on.
the last disclaimer is that this will probably be a longer video than normal.
Oh yeah.
So feel free to watch it in bits, but do watch it and let us know everything that you want. So on
I
to the
think they should
lists
watch it in one go.
in one go.
One go.
Absolutely. Uh, Onto the
Yeah.
list, and we start with the Saurian Ancients. We started this battle at 3,500 because that is the
Hmm.
lowest of the regular bracket
Field armies
field
instead of
armies.
warband. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
So
Yeah, there's field armies which are actually, ironically, my list adds up to 493,499, which is where warband ends technically. Some
yeah,
3,500
yeah,
is where field army
that's
begins.
yeah.
But this counts as a field army of 3,500, and then it goes all the way out to grand army, which I can't remember the cap for, but it's well over 6,000, I think,
Yeah, and
or
I think the idea
around
is that
there.
the rule set is designed to cater for all. So if you've got 2,000 points
Yeah,
only, then you can start that, which is cool.
it is
Um,
really cool.
but
And I
yeah,
think 4,000 is going to be the set standard version,
yeah.
or at
So this
least
might not be
in
too
a pack
much less
season
than
one. Mm.
yeah. Yes, because there will be season packs. Yes, but so we're not actually too much lower than what you
No.
might see as a regular army.
Yeah, I mean, when we originally talked about doing this battle, we thought about doing a 2,000 point battle, but we were by the time we realized probably only be able to get one battle report out before release day, we thought, well, no, we may as well make it a relatively bigger battle, and so nearly normal points. And yeah, this is what we came up with. So shall we see what the Saurians are rocking in this new era of 3.0? I went with an Anorak Archmage as my leader. I won't call him a general because obviously no gods, no kings still for Saurians. That
Yes,
hasn't
that's still
changed.
a
We still
thing.
don't have a
Yeah.
general. Yeah, still don't have a general in the Saurians. He's pretty basic in terms of magic items. He's literally just got the Teopori Smokestone, which is something I've tried a few years back actually, which is the item that allows you to
Yeah.
prevent opponents from chasing after you overly quickly if you break from combat. The unit breaks from combat. So that's quite a cheap item in the book, and that hasn't changed since its original iterations. And Guiding Mastery is what he has got. What's Guiding Mastery? Was that Channel 2? I think it was. Yes, Channel 2. Which channeling is different. So we won't go into that now, but
Yes.
that gives him Channel 2 on top of his channel for being a master. He is rocking Alchemy Path with 4 spells. And the ones I chose, and I had to choose pre-battle, are Corruption of Tin, Living Steel, Word of Iron, Quicksilver Lash, and then there was option before the battle to potentially change them. I'm going to say now, I didn't change mine, so these are the 4 I stuck with. But there is a rule where you can actually change your spells pre-battle.
Yeah,
I don't think you did either,
it's
did you?
one. No, I didn't change them either. But you can change one from your. You can change it for the
Chosen learned
hereditary,
spells.
or
Yeah,
one model can change for one that they
yeah,
already know.
yes, yeah.
So it's
And
quite
that's
restricting, but
hmm,
it's not really.
no, I quite like it. I think it's quite good that you've already got those listed on your army list before you even go into battle, so you can start thinking of how you'll use them against your opponent and
Yes.
which one might be the one to change if you don't like, if you want to get rid of one. But anyway, I'm sure that won't be the first time we get distracted in this battle report, and I'll carry on from there. I've got Skink Veteran. He's a chameleon with the hard target rule. He's also got Master Strategist as an upgrade, which means that any unit he joins has got Feigned Flight and Vanguard. Um, I'm going through these things, but I'll probably only highlight things, especially when it's different to 2.0. And a lot of this is the same at the moment. Alchemical Arrows, Obsidian Rock, and Magnetic Shortbow was a thing in the old Saurian book, and so he's rocking those just to make his unit Strength 4 shooting if he hits with one of his. And his unit has got Magic Resistance 2 as well on Obsidian Rock, so that's cool. Another Skink Veteran with Light Troops. He is an Enclave Hedge Mage, which means he gets a Apprentice spell, which he chose Shamanism Predator's Instinct. Now, I do believe that in the released version of the Saurian book, that's actually now called an Enclave Wizard, not an Enclave Hedge Mage.
Right.
But that's just semantics.
Names may vary.
Exactly, yeah. Names may vary as we go on. But yeah. In my core, of which it had to be 25%, which was 875 points, we've got 18 Tegu warriors with spears, standard musician, no champions anymore. That's a completely different thing.
Yep.
And some character models can take captain upgrades, but they won't feature in this battle, so we won't go into them too much. We've got a unit of Skink Warriors with shields, standard musician, and they are a wizard conclave, much like the old versions were, and they're taking entwining roots. A lot of the spells have changed in terms of what they do, but we'll go into that when they're cast in the battle.
Mm-hmm.
And then to round out my core, I've got 2 units of Skink Hunters, both 12 apiece, with poison javelins. Only one of them had a musician because I wanted to see whether the musician unit did any better than the non-musician unit. Spoiler, didn't really matter. But yeah, it was cool to see something different anyway. Into my special, I couldn't start a Saurian battle report in 3.0 without Tegu guards, could I? Obviously, I wanted to see if they were good or bad or still bad. Apart from losing the champion, because there is no such thing as a champion anymore, they're pretty much the same as what they used to be. So yeah, we'll see how they play with their Anorak in there with bodyguard, etc. Pretty much play the same as they used to. I've got 3 Ramphadon Riders. You know I love my Ramphadon Riders. I forgot to upgrade to take a 4th, like I usually do. That's the only reason why there's 3 instead of 4, because I literally forgot. And they're different. They don't get a Toad Rage icon
No.
anymore, which is interesting because I was like, oh, that's quite a cool little feature. and then I read their rules, and most of the rules for the Toad Rage are just included as standard now. So they're actually, I think, better than they used to be. But yeah, time will
Well,
tell.
it's against everything. Yeah.
This is against everything.
It's way,
yeah, they
it's
get
way better. Yeah.
Re-roll to hit and
Yeah.
battle focus. Yeah, really cool. They don't get extra attacks, but against everything, something had to go. So, 8 Raptor Riders with Standard Musician, Donna Champion. I'll get tired of saying that eventually. They are joined by Carnosaur with Hunt Leader. Hunt Leader allows the Carnosaur to go into them, and it gives Fury, which is the old battle focus, to any of the mounts in the Raptor Rider unit. So that's quite nice. He's got Light Lance. I got a unit of Skink Gorillas. This is the one that the Skink Veteran with the alchemical arrows goes with. They're chameleon and magnetic short bows. They play similar to the old version list, so that's all good. And I thought I'd try out 2 salamanders, something I haven't really played a lot in 9th Age generally, except I did it against Ryan in the Beast Herd battle, and I actually quite enjoyed playing them in that battle. They did quite well, and so I thought I'll try them out in this new 3.0 era. Yeah. And that's Saurians, folks.
And up against them was the High Elves. Again, it's all on the screen for everyone that wants to take a look. And of course, you'll have the books now because it's release day. So that's very good. But yeah, we got a High Elf General on Elven Horse with Quincy Avalere. It gives him +1 attack and offense in the first round as first strike, which is like a new thing. First strike is he's got Nova Blair Lance, which works very similarly to before. Lances now give you +1 agility as well, as a blanket thing, so that's really cool. Sigil of Protection, which is a new thing, which is just +1 armor, which is nice on a shield. And then I've got Talisman and Shielding to round it off. This is the guy I kind of like to use, but never couldn't fit him in a list a lot of the time. So I try and put him in where I can for fun battles like this. I've got the next thing is a Master of Conjuring Tower BSB commander on an Elven Horse. It's kind of everything mixed in. They've opened up a few options onto what it can do, and you get 3 spells from him. As a Master of Conjuring Tower, who is an apprentice, I believe. Maybe an adept, I can't remember. But it matters for channel purposes. Then
it's probably a conclave, and it says 3 spells, does it?
Oh,
Protean magic.
Yeah,
I think
maybe
it's a conclave and Protean
is,
magic. So
but basically
why they're all #1 spells.
Yeah, he's a 2-up rerollable armor BSB with some magic and Scroll of Perthrone. Once per game, I'm able to stop one of your magic weapons. Not that you have any, but it's it's in there.
We that was bad on my part. I didn't know you were going to pick that. Obviously,
it's okay.
That'll happen sometimes.
In core, I had 2 units of Sea Guard of 18 with Standard Musician, and then some Lancers with Standard Musician as well to round it off. I had the classic mix of Swordmasters and Rhymer. Swordmasters actually at the time, I think anyway, I had the option of Rending Banner. Rending Banner is back, folks. So that's a thing, but not for all armies, because as far as I know now, it's not available. You said it wasn't available for High Elves now.
Yeah, it was something I was also actually checking, literally as you were speaking about the Talisman of Shielding, because you have that on your general. The Talisman of Shielding is what's known as a common magic item, or common enhancement, whatever you want to call it. That is something that everyone can take, and it's listed in the Arcane Compendium with a cost. So your Talisman of Shielding is all good in this list. However, the Rending Banner, that is in the Arcane Compendium, but it is a... Where's it gone?
So you have a certain amount of...
Yeah, it's in the Shared Banner Enhancements.
Yes.
And that only gives a cost for it in your own army book, if you're allowed to take it. And the Rending Banner actually isn't in the Highborn Elf banner, isn't in the Highborn Elf book. So I don't know about the original version, the version we played.
I'm sure it had the thing, so I only looked at the High Elf book. So
yeah.
But anyway,
exactly.
It might, so that might be the only thing that we're not allowed. in this.
Yep.
Knights of Rhymer have the Banner of Becoming, which is in the book, which is taking off a dice. It doesn't add it
Yeah.
to yourself, because there are no
No.
similar things like that as in this front version. But yeah, that's there. Lion Chariot, Frost Phoenix, and the Initiate Fiery Heart, which has Flaming Swords and Pyroflow in there as well. So yeah, it's very similar looking this, and we both sort of think you sort of look at minus maybe a character. They're all very similar to, and maybe a few numbers here and there. Similar to a normal standard size Night Phage that we remember.
Yeah. When we deployed this and started playing the game, we didn't really feel that we were missing from points wise all that much. So if 4,000 is the standard, I don't think we're going to suffer too much from a loss of 500 points, so to speak.
But yeah, over to the the battle itself, and we did Spoils of War and Frontline Clash because they are the two listed
in the rulebook.
In the rulebook, so we didn't want to go too far into it because it's mainly about the rules itself. In terms of those, though, Frontline Clash is pretty much the same, only with slightly more centralized deployment zones, and Spoils of War is basically flags, but only in combat.
Yeah, and you can only claim it if your unit is scoring and you're beating a scoring unit of your opponents. I should mention, in order to be scoring, you just have to get a standard. So any unit that can take a standard,
not like troops and not summoned. Those are the three things to be scoring.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful picture there of our
trying to demonstrate 3.0, but I don't know how much I've succeeded with that using my notes.
Someone's won 3-0 in some football match somewhere.
maybe. Yeah, that's the point. We were so excited.
Yeah,
I know I was.
Yeah, good to get back in. Yeah, for sure. From the High Elves point of view, we had Lancers, Sea Guard, the Dragon, Sea Guard again, Swordmasters in the middle, Phoenix, Lion Chariot, and then both my characters and Rhymer on this side. You actually dropped first.
Yes, I did. Literally, I think you chose your side, and then I chose to drop all my units, which granted me an extra +1.
Yes.
So for finishing first, you get a +1, and if you choose to drop
in your first go.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were holding up your finger to stop me.
No, there's one.
All right, okay, I thought that was stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and if you drop in your first opportunity, you get a +1 as well. So I had a +2 to get in the first turn.
Yes.
And I wanted that. So I was hoping that a +2 on a dice roll would beat you. And in all of our history of playing together, it never has before. So let's see if it works this time.
Yeah. In terms of your deployment, though?
Indeed, yeah. So Ramphadons, who have already vanguarded over that way a little bit, on the left. Then I got a Skink Hunter unit behind the hill. The Raptor Riders with the Carnosaur are on the hill, or mostly on the hill. I've got a unit of Skink Gorillas with the Skink Veteran that has scouted to that position. They also have a Vanguard, but I don't think I used it all that much. I don't think I needed to because I was scouting, and I'm happy with them there. Then I got the Tiger Guard with the Anorak in that unit. Behind the tree, quite concealed actually, is a unit of Skinks with the other Skink Veteran. Then I got a unit of Hunters in front of the Salamanders. And then I just got a unit of Tiger Guard on this right flank. Obviously, I didn't know any of your units when I put down, so all the matchups were dictated by your good self.
Yeah, but we go on to the roll, and as you say, this is as explained for people that want to see it.
Yeah,
you did win.
I did. I won. I packed up and went home at this point. I got first turn. And obviously, if you stop the E6s getting first turn, then you already won, right?
It's already a given.
It is, yeah, pretty much. I went quite aggressive with my movement, all apart from the Tegu Warriors on the right-hand side as we're looking at it, because a big unit of Knights of Rama with 2 characters is pretty scary. So I wasn't too keen on going forward on that front. But the Carnosaur and the Raptor Riders had the opposite effect. Really, they fancied like they were going to run at the Sea Guard and the Lancers and see what you could do about it. There's a really cool terrain piece which you actually got new for this battle, hadn't you? That little
Impassable
rock with the mini towers, which was impassable. So that was kind of preventing any worries that my Raptor unit had of the Swordmasters coming their way. And I just positioned the Gorillas in the middle to shoot some Swordmasters with their magnetic short bows, and that was me movement for turn 1. Really, I got off living steel on these guys, which gives them +1 to hit, and that is to shooting and to combat.
Yes, because there are some spells that specifically say one or the other. This one, obviously,
yes,
just general.
Yeah, living steel that gives them a good +1 to their shooting, and also cast with quite a mighty casting roll. You'll see. Quicksilver Lash.
You see the
despite you having more dice. Yeah. And that went ahead and did 2d6 strength 4 hits with AP4.
Yes.
The reason it was up to strength 4 is because metal armor is now a thing. There's no heavy armor anymore. If it's just, I think it's light armor or metal armor, I think is how it goes now.
And all the elf, in terms of this, and when you're looking for that, all the elf infantry have metal armor as a thing. So alchemy, very, very, very scary for elves with their low res and metal armor now. So something, again, the first thing I found from everything was like, right, need to be scared of alchemy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just looked at alchemy, just thought it was full of really good spells when I saw the path. So my early favorite choice on the Anorak. And yeah, as you can see, I did kill a few, not that many, not as many as I could have done on a 2d6. But it was definitely chipping away at Swordmasters.
And it was a good start for your metal armor chameleons who.
Indeed, yes, because with living steel as well, with that extra +1, and because of lodestone as well, which gave an extra +1 to hit. I think I was hitting on either 2s or 3s with this shot, and because of the veteran with alchemical arrows, I was also at strength 4, and we know elves don't like strength 4.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Swordmasters were into the thick of it already, unfortunately for them.
Yeah. Now we took a panic test. You still do take panic tests as normal in that regard.
25% casualties. Yeah.
But we decided at the time to just, because they failed, they got a 9, their leadership is 8. We decided to rub it off and not worry about it because it was the first game and they were going to get shot anyway, so it didn't really matter. Yeah. But we should say that if you do pass or if you do fail a panic, you don't run anyway.
No.
You become shaken. So you stand there as you are, become shaken, and then on your next round, try to rally.
Yes. And whilst you are shaken, you are very restricted in what you can do. You can't charge.
Yes.
You can't move for any reason, except for fleeing. And various other things with magic as well.
Yeah, there's a few other things for it, and we'll go into it later. But rally is its own phase, effectively, and it comes quite late on in the turn, so you do miss a lot if you become shaken. So this whole mechanic of running and rallying, maybe and shoot and stuff is irrelevant now, and it's actually I think changed it quite a bit. You're gonna have to have a real think about what you do now, but. From this point of view, technically we're just shaken, but we decided to forget about that panic test because Swordmasters already halved.
Exactly, yeah.
Over here as well, we let's have some fun. Let's charge in some stuff. Lancers aren't your typical combat heavy unit, but maybe with a dragon or a fiery heart dragon, they can do some. And I've got some magic as well, so let's see what we can do there. Unfortunately, the dragon decided that it wasn't interested in the fight, and it wanted to see how good these lancers were against the Carnosaur and a full completely on their own. There was. I actually only needed a 3 on dice.
Yes.
And, obviously, in terms of this, if this is your first thing of looking at any charges are different. It is D6 +4 plus your movement. So it's not 2D6 anymore plus your movement. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
unfortunate really for the Lancers because I mean obviously they would have been better with a dragon, but that probably isn't a fair fight. Lancers versus that.
no.
And you were really now just seeing what you could do, weren't you?
Yeah,
So
and Lance is a bit up with the slightly gained and it should agility, sorry. But I guess they were always going first anyway in this regard. But yeah, the reason you see two dice there for each is because Swift Ride adds another dice,
mhm.
and you take the best. So it's a very similar mechanic, but obviously, yeah, if you roll a 2 and a 1, it don't matter. So
Nope.
there is that. This is the
Yeah.
failed charge move, something that's changed as well. You now don't move the dice rolls, you move your movement characteristics. So that's why the dragon
Yeah.
actually went quite away, I think in movement 7.
Mm.
So move 7 inches forwards, which is
Yeah.
another thing to take into consideration as well during that whole thing.
Mm.
So, yeah, a few different tactical things you need to perhaps we haven't thought about that we might have to start thinking about in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
Otherwise, my Seaguard just moved to the left to shoot those 2 units on your right, I guess, my left flank.
Mhm.
Swordmasters do technically move up because we ignored the panic, but obviously if you're shaken, you wouldn't be able to move. So that's
Mhm.
the thing. Phoenix moves up as well. Fairly is out of line of sight of the Temple Guard and doesn't really care about the other things, so wants to prove himself a little bit of an annoyance. Lion Chariot moves up as much as possible, but it still isn't far as it can't march. And the Knights of Rhyme move up like so
Mhm.
because they've got the characters not too bothered by being charged. Weirdly, and they start with the 2 attacks. Do they? I might get that wrong. I think it might be first strike
It's first strike plus 1 attack. Yeah,
plus
yeah.
1 attack. So or
Yeah.
something. But yeah, so they're not as bad on the grind if they don't get charged, which is good to see.
Yeah.
I get flaming swords off on the lances to see if that helps, and it is +1 to wound, although it doesn't give you any extra AP, so they will still be on their own for that. Seaguard pop off a wound on the Ramphidons, and the other Seaguard pop off 6 wounds on these skinks
Uh, and you
that
can
are
see
on the
those
hill.
skinks because of the whole elevated position thing.
Yes,
Just one thing you said a minute ago, or a second ago, just in case anyone jumping on the comments to correct it. Chariots now can march, but their mobility is really low. So, like a lion chariot has got a mobility of
sure.
4 inches, so it can actually march 8 inches, but it just doesn't feel that far for a
Yeah, well, I
mounted
think
unit.
I don't know
So,
whether it's all, but my chariot is actually it's not marching per se; it's a reform, and we do come up we come into
yeah.
this a bit later.
Hmm.
Whereas effectively, if you're light troops, which all my
Yeah.
chariots are, so I don't know whether all
Yeah.
chariots are as a whole.
Mm,
You used to do a slight reform, but yeah, so it's a weird one, but we do cover it a bit later, so don't
yeah.
hold your horses. Into combat and
Speaking of horses,
yeah,
who
my guys absolutely do 5 wounds with six guys, which is incredible. They do take
were the
some.
horses?
Well, yeah, there we go. The horses
I
add
rolled
into
double
that.
one on my armor suit.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
because Raptor Riders have changed ever so slightly for the Saurians, which I was quite excited with. They used to be 3 up armor if you took Light Lance and Shield, or 4 up armor if you took Halberd. Now they've changed to 2 up armor and they just get halberds. And I think that's the best of both worlds because they don't have shields. They're just 2 up armor without
yeah,
shields. And
yes.
they get
Well, it's
halberds as well.
major
It's
buff.
like a double
Yeah, yeah,
upgrade.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, really cool for the Raptor Riders. But
yeah.
that doesn't mean you can't fail by rolling double ones and lots of other ones on your
Yes,
armor
well, yeah,
tests.
yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, no, rolled really, really well. But of course, combat again is slightly different
Oh
in
yeah.
regards. So when we come into it, we have before we even roll to wound or anything, we have a static combat score,
Mm.
and that is identified as the things below. And I won't go through this whole thing, but if you want to pause and
Have a
read, you
pause,
can.
have a read. Yeah.
But
In
yeah,
this combat, basically to sum it up, you were on the charge and you had a standard bearer. I was not on the charge and had a standard bearer, and I had a rank. So at this point, I think going into the combat, were we 2-2, I believe? Charge and a standard on your side, and a standard and a rank on my side. But yeah, have a pause and read that up if you would like
Yeah.
to.
And then add in the final score. It's +1 for elf points. So this is like a separate pool, if you will. And +1 if you wipe a unit in addition to that as well. Obviously, neither of us wiped a unit, and I won 5-4, so I ended up winning combat, which is I was very impressed. With the Lancers, although I don't think it's their stat line, so don't get too excited by that. That did it. But you hold, and we move on to your turn 2 movement.
So yeah, in my turn 2, the Tegu warriors on my left-hand side, right-hand side as we look at it, they decided to stay put, and they got the backing of the skink hunters, who decided to be the standard chaff, which is still a thing, and stand in front of the Knights of Rymar and one of your characters in there. Yeah, like you said, light troops is a weird one because you don't actually move, you don't march or anything, you just reform, double your mobility, and basically teleport, really. So they jumped forward in front of the Rhino and chaffed them, as it was their normal job. I went quite aggressive with my salamanders in the middle. They move forward, and they are ready to do the flaming shots on which are not. It's breath weapon, and they can do that every turn. But all breath weapons can be done every turn now, which is really cool.
But not in combat.
So that's a bit of a change. Not in combat, we think. Yeah, they're just shooting because they're listed as shooting weapons. So that's a bit of a change.
Which I guess has dulled down some of the single models.
Yeah, exactly. I also moved my skink gorillas back. This is a better picture of that anyway. And I did actually, I mean, we will get onto shooting phase in a minute, but I didn't realise that even though they are skirmishers don't automatically get march and shoot. So I actually marched backwards to there and shouldn't have been able to shoot. But we'll get onto that in a second. So this was actually not a great move by that skink gorillas because I stopped them shooting. But anyway, first of all was Corruption of Tin, which is an alchemy spell. I think you've got the pop-up to show what it actually does. But it's -1 armor and gains metal armor. The Swordmasters already had metal armor, so this was just making them go from a 5-up save to a 6-up save.
Yeah.
Which obviously now they were about to get pounded by
fire.
Also,
also metal armor obviously makes the other alchemy spells better. So this is a good spell.
It's a good spell to sort of lead with, especially if your opponent doesn't have metal armor to begin with. And as you can see from this picture, the salamanders did all of the work. I don't think the skinks actually did much at all. I shot with them, but it didn't matter because the salamanders did so many that there was dice left over, especially as you only had a 6-up armor save against the strength 4 AP0 fire. Yeah, really happy with dealing with those. Over in this combat, the pre-combat static res was a bit lower for you. You did still have a standard. You didn't have a charge anymore. I hadn't got a rank anymore, but I did have a standard, so we were 1-1 going into it. But you didn't manage to cause any wounds with your models that you had left. And you died.
Which is the main thing.
Yeah, exactly. The main thing that ended that combat. Yeah, so I've taken a few casualties, but pretty happy. And I did get a primary objective marker for killing a scoring unit for doing so. So the Raptor Riders are sitting on on primary objective token because they were a scoring unit, and I could only claim it if I was scoring as well. So that's a cool little feature. And I think that's how it's looked. The Ramphadons have now moved back because they were a bit scared of Seaguard shooting. That's all good. And then into your turn too.
Yeah, on to me, and I my Phoenix goes into your Salamanders for a bit payback. The Chariot goes into the chaffing skinks, and the Lord comes out on his own to see how Lords get on against infantry. I think favours everything's stacked on his side with Nova Flare and the 1-up armor, 1-up 5-up. But otherwise, I think is interested to see how that happens. Obviously, no champions either, so I can't get challenged out in that regard. So we'll see how that works. Over here, there's not many left. And we sort of had a little think about this and what I wanted to do. There's a few different options, whether to shoot or what to go. But I wanted to see this dragon in combat. God damn it.
Yeah.
So I charged him in, and I also charged alongside him the Sea Guard to see how they were. Initially, because of this is going into the charge. So the
Mhm.
D6+4, as we've mentioned.
They give
But
charge chances on that, which is really cool in the rulebook. So you can
yes, it
assess
is. Yeah,
what
it's a
the
good mechanic.
likelihood of failing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and then this is the remaining moves
Mm.
phase, where it's literally just the Sea Guard pointing towards the hill because that's pretty much all they
Mm.
can see, and the Knights of Rhymer moving around the skinks fairly easily. This was regarding to the reform move, which is something that we're
Mhm.
looking at and stuff. You have to be able to draw a line to it, but otherwise you can pretty much just go anywhere,
Teleport.
teleport.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
Your
as long
center can only move half the unit's mobility. So the center can't move far, but each model can move up to twice the mobility. So as long as your center doesn't move far, you can pretty much end up wherever you want.
yeah, especially if you're in the same formation. There is a bit of a change of
Mm.
formation restriction, which is good. Probably means your
Yes,
20 man
true.
can't go conga lining anytime
No.
soon. So that's
Uh-huh.
a thing to think about in terms of shenanigans wise, but also
Hmm.
I think it allows bigger units, especially if they're keeping the same formation, a bit more maneuverability around the reform. And it's something that we wanted to mention because we think it
Mm.
might be an interesting. I think quite what's the word?
Yankee.
Uh, no, the opposite. I think it's a bit
Anti-Yank.
yeah, easier on the people on units and stuff that aren't necessarily movable. Although the
Yeah.
center is being there is a thing, so I'm not sure about that, but we will see. So there's something to
Mm.
mention. I got Fleming
Proof in the
swords off
pudding with that one.
on the Sea Guard there. And yeah, again, moving back to it, sort of another one of the reasons we wanted to see this combat was because spears at the bottom get lethal strike, but then we read it again, and it's not used when charging. So
Yes.
yeah, there
Yeah, the
was
Sea
that.
Guard charging in with spears. Oh wait, these don't actually give lethal strike
But
when we
yeah,
charge,
but
boys.
but if I survive, we've been good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so and that's a quick rundown of all the weapons and the changes,
Mm.
which aren't too many to be honest. It's very
No.
similar.
I think
To
the
be
extra
honest,
agility on the lance is the main one there on that picture, to be honest. Which is really cool.
yeah.
But yeah.
Over here, I pop off another wound on the Ramphrodons, so they're now 2 in
Hmm.
number.
Yeah.
My impact hits go in and do some wounds as well as other attacks, but you survive.
No, I don't. I don't know what the one
Just
and
the 2
two
and
was.
1. Yeah.
I was looking at that picture, and I don't know what the two and one are. I think it was because I needed a double one to hold,
Oh,
and
okay,
I
sure.
rolled a two and a one.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
that
that
makes
was it
sense
because
actually.
I got up 2 pounded.
Yeah.
I think I needed a double one, and I
But yeah,
got a two and a one.
yeah,
So
and in the next picture you can see you run and get run down from there. My Phoenix also goes in and takes off one of the salamanders, takes a wound,
mm,
but kills the other by running it
yeah,
down and running into the skinks as well. So a few points.
yeah.
Although I did move him, and then I was like, oh, dude, you can definitely see that.
It was
I
one
don't.
of those moments where you were so focused on learning 3.0 that
Yeah,
you kind of forgot the basics of wargaming.
flanking. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we shall see. We shall see how that goes. But yeah,
Yeah.
over here I do 4, and as you can see, the
Uh-huh.
static combat res is the green dice,
Is the green.
and the
Yeah.
white dice are the wound pools. So
Hmm.
obviously losing 3-1 after the charge
Hmm.
is my lord, but pulls it back with things and wins by 2. You did hold though,
I
and
did.
you stick
Well, I
around
was
there.
steady, wasn't I? I wasn't steadfast because I didn't have enough ranks to be steadfast, but I was steady. And so that obviously gives you bonuses. It means you can only lose by a certain amount. Although, as it happens, that certain amount was less than I lost the combat by. So I was still testing on a -2, I think it was, but with cold-blooded or minimized break test for Saurians, I was all right. Speaking of not
Certainly
all right,
were.
though,
Hmm.
eek.
I have to say as well, I killed 2 out of the 3 of these
You did.
guys on top, and that was
Well
annoying.
done. Uh-huh.
Because it meant that you still kept scoring. And then the Carnosaur just opened up on my infantry guys. And along with the Furies and stuff like that you get, the battle focus thing that you get. You can see the original combat res there on the side for static was 4 versus 1. And then it didn't matter. It didn't
Obliterated.
matter.
Yeah,
That Carnosaur obliterated them.
oh, it went crazy, like with the stomps and the hit. I think I got a load of fury off. I have to remember to call that fury, not battle focus.
Yeah.
I think. Sorry, I cut out there briefly.
No,
I didn't know what you said. Sorry. But yeah, I went absolutely mental, and lots of Seaguard death.
Yeah. I'll come backwards. It meant that I automatically fled with both units, which I was a bit sad. And in terms of moving, fleeing and stuff, you roll this before you decide.
Yeah. You find out how far your opponent flees before you decide whether or not you're pursuing or not. So I think is a really intriguing change. Whether we'll like it or not is another matter. I quite like it to begin with, but we'll see. I think it depends what side of the fence you're on.
Fleeing.
Yeah. So I knew that the Seaguard had only gone 3 inches before I decided whether I was pursuing or not, and the Dragon had only gone 6 with Swiss Stride. So I mean, it's a fairly obvious choice. Get after him, boys. But you do have to say who you're going after. Don't pursue both. I decided I would go after the Seaguard because they were a scoring unit, and we weren't sure whether running down a unit that has fled from the combat would yield an objective token. And I don't think we're sure even now.
I think it does.
But we think it does.
Yeah.
So we kind of gave them a token for the primary objective, but we weren't really sure where in the book that was.
Yeah.
We'll find it.
Pretty sure it does. As current things stand. But then after that unit, the unit obviously got caught by the Swift Stride guys, and you can see they have just the Seaguard, and they're not scared of Seaguard anymore. I don't think they ever were, really. But
no, although
interestingly,
when I pursued, I rolled 1 less inch than would take me into the next unit of Seaguard, and you don't move back an inch to make an inch separation. You now stay there. So I was less than an inch in front of your Seaguard at this point, because you can get within an inch for the overrun purpose. But had I rolled an extra inch, I would have been activating that lethal strike against Swift Stride when not charging. So actually, the fact that I've got an inch less is actually all right for me because I don't activate that lethal strike Swift Stride thing.
Yes, this flank is certainly collapsing for me.
Yeah.
But as you can see, the 2 tokens there, and this is how it looks after that turn. Onto your turn though, and your guys do indeed charge the flank because they can.
Yeah, and we were curious to find out what the forest rules were all about for terrain and to see how that would affect ranked up units, etc. But either way, it was the charge to make. I also declared a charge with my Carnosaur Raptor Rider unit because there's 1 and 1 now. It's not Raptor Riders and Carnosaur, it's Raptor Rider. Terror. Still a thing.
Terror happened, yeah.
Yeah. You, unfortunately, for you, failed your courage check. Yeah.
Yes.
Was it courage?
As per the rules now, again, slightly different in the way it works. Once you flee, voluntarily or not, you become shaken, and then it's up to the other unit to get in contact with you. If they do, you still stay in contact until the combat phase, and we'll get onto that in a second. But you don't automatically get killed outright and destroyed off the table at this point in time, which is interesting.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about now because of the start of the preparations for combat. The static combat score is one of them, but removing shaken units is also another one. So at that point, you would take the unit off the board.
Yeah, it kind of means that running down a unit counts as winning a combat, pretty much.
Yes.
So because you're killing them, actually removing them in the combat phase. So yeah.
Yeah. Onto the Phoenix combat. Onto the Phoenix here, and they get in, obviously.
They do. They do. They do
as
well.
we've seen quite
That long
easily.
charge.
Wasn't a roll, and this is how they line up in that forest.
Mhm.
And this is the remaining moves for the Saurians.
Yeah, so the Ramphadons just came up to try and support against the dragon. The dragon is shaken, so it won't be doing anything in your turn,
For
which
a
is
long turn.
amazing for me because it won't cast spells because it's shaken until the rally phase, which is really quite crippling for that
Yeah.
dragon, really. So the Ramphadons are moving up, feeling cheeky. And similarly, the skink gorillas are doing the same, ready to shoot at the dragon. And the hunters that took a pounding from the sea guard arrows are just sort of like chilling out at the back. Other than that, I haven't got a lot really to do. It's just wait for the combat and see if my Raptor riders can hang on with one Raptor rider left. So, yeah.
You get
In
living
Magic,
steel off on these guys.
I do get Living Steel off for an extra +1 to hit and Metal Armor. I think that was it. Metal Armor.
Yeah. These no, it's just
No,
+1 to
magical
hit.
attacks, I think. Or something like that.
These guys do a couple of wounds for the poison. Not poison,
Yes.
for the magnetic bows. Sorry.
Yep, strength 4 against res 5, so pretty decent. Good going.
And
yeah,
at this point in time, we get rid of
we
them.
removed them, and because that counts as a combat, I still had one Raptor rider who wasn't vulnerable to your attacks because you didn't get any. Basically, I get a third primary objective token.
Absolutely.
So that Raptor rider, that single Raptor rider, is very important for that unit, and he is the standard because there's no champion.
Yes.
So he's the standard is the last model removed.
My elves, all 4 units. Well, no, 3 of them charge you as well, which I find really interesting. So that is a good dinosaur there, facing this way to seek out the mage or the initiate of the fiery heart there as well.
Yeah, because it's your turn next. We'll see what you can do.
Over here, when Guy continues to kill a few, does take a wound because of obviously the spears and lethal strike. At this point, becoming very, very scary. But you move over like so, and then I move over like so, just to allow the Knights of Rhymer to come in on my following turn. In the middle, though, my Phoenix does a really, really decent job against the skinks with parry and a really, really good stomp. And you only did 1 wound to me.
Yes. Yeah, I think I have a feeling that we forgot to do the +1 to wound for the Tiger Guard being in your flank.
We certainly did.
It should have been like advantaged position. Is that the wording for it? I can't remember. So I should have been getting +1 to wound, in which case I would have been wounding on 3s. But as it happened, I was only playing strength 5, res 5.
Yeah, and a few things mattered as well in this combat. Forest being the main thing as a terrain, as a terrain piece, it's dangerous terrain, as we said, and part of the reason why the Phoenix had the original wound on him in the first place. But it's also disruptive, that rule at the bottom, which means you cannot claim proper ranks for score bonus. And this is if you're touching the forest at all. It's not like fully in it or partially in it or whatever. It's just if you're touching it in any sort of shape or form, you cannot gain proper rank. So I think quite important for infantry not to be near forests, I think.
That's it. Yeah. So I think I probably needed some break tests after this, didn't I? Or did I?
No, what happened was, if I go back a sec, I had a charge, and that was my only combat rank. And as you can see, you got 5 from being flanking, double standards, etc., etc. So, but it was only 5-1 because of the no proper ranks rule. Otherwise, it would have been a lot. In combat, I got 5 to your 1, which meant we stuck around as a draw, which we were both a little bit surprised at. There.
I was actually quite relieved in the end.
Because
seeing so many skinks go down, it could have become disastrous.
For sure. So, terrain definitely impactful within this as well. Onto my turn, though. As it is my turn next, the Rhymers, as I say, do go in. And the Lion Chariot decides to help the Phoenix out to see what he can do, whether or not he can gain some combat res for doing that there. It does take a wound for DTs as well.
Yeah, and that's slightly different, aren't they?
DTs are different, yeah. So Yeah, so instead of the ones, it's now the sixes, which obviously made me terrified.
Yeah, lucky
With that,
sixes time.
yeah, and each dangerous terrain piece will have a DT 6 plus or DT. I think it's yeah, DT 5 plus, whatever it is,
Mm,
and is always AP 10, so that's similar as well.
mhm.
It's dependent on your height. So
Yeah.
each thing have a 0 to 5 actually height value within it. For example, the line chariot here has height 4, as you can see
Hmm.
there, and because of the DTs and stuff, it would take however many that is 4. I think it was. So
Four.
only taking one was actually not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, usually when you roll four dice, it's four sixes. So what's
Exactly.
going on there?
Yeah, yeah.
You
So,
know, you're already
so this is
converted to the new system.
I definitely need to be wary of this rule moving forwards. But this is how they all get in. There is a gap there, but don't worry, it's not actually a gap. It's just because my BSB didn't fit at that point.
You made way. Yeah.
Over here, I get Wheel of Woe off on your
Hmm.
guys, and Wheel of Woe is a cosmology spell. There's no attributes or anything now, although Cosmos still has the you can choose either or, and I chose the roll for you to roll successful sixes on my guy. Of course,
Right.
we did forget about the +1, so there is that
Hmm.
in there. But moving on to combat. Over here, I go to absolute town on this one. I do make you flee, and I choose to only go after you with the guy because I think Swift Ride will do it. But you do get away, and it
I
means that I
did.
don't get the extra thing anyway,
Yeah.
the spoil. So I mean, I'm 3-0 down. So at this point,
So
it's
do we think then that even though the Rhymer weren't the ones to pursue, the Rhymer would have still come away with a token if
no,
the Lord? No.
no, I
So
don't
you
think
you
so.
actually chose to let the primary objective get away by
Yeah,
not pursuing with the Rhymer. But
yeah.
you still I got away anyway.
You
So
got away
yeah.
anyway. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's very specific in Spores of War, and
Yeah.
I don't know whether that changes with the season packs or whatever. But I
Mm.
think rules was written, they wouldn't get it.
Yeah.
You have to actually kill the unit. Over
With the
here though,
spoil. Yeah.
the everything the Wheel of Woe didn't make too much of a difference. You just compounded my guy,
Mm.
and even forgetting the +1 to wound, you smashed him up. So that
Yeah.
token in there is where he'll rebirth because I did roll rebirth, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And that
otherwise,
was
my
without a
build
warden, wasn't it?
I was without the warden on the 5
Mm.
plus. The warden gives him 3 plus. The chariot going in, I didn't get the stomp obviously, which is because he died before then. But the chariot going in did help to get 5 up. In terms of combat res, it was 4-3 to start with. I think we've got written down. So I must have had
Hmm.
a charge and a flank because flanks offer
Yeah.
2 now. So I was on
Yeah.
3, and you had 4 still from before for standards, whatever.
Yeah. I
I
just didn't have a charge anymore. So
Yeah, yeah. You did 3. You did 3 wounds. I did 5. So
yeah.
and in the end, my line chariot stuck around, and we
Mm.
ended up like so. Not entirely sure. This used to be okay, but I'm not entirely sure this is okay now. But we decided to
Yeah.
go with
You reformed and gave me a flank, didn't you, with the
yeah, yeah.
chariot? Yeah.
What we know. So that may disclaimer on this a little bit here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, my dragon does
Into my
rally.
turn.
Yeah,
Mm.
in my previous turn, but it goes on to your turn, and you charge.
Yeah, I think I charged with the Ramphadons first. You decide to hold that, and you're not shaken anymore because you've rallied. So it was
Yes.
a free decision. But then I follow up with the Raptors, and you decide to flee that one. And at that point, because you fled past the Ramphadons, they couldn't redirect. So they were charging nothing effectively.
And I
But
think I charged out of your charger range
yeah,
for
you
the
did.
guys as well.
Yeah,
Which
but I was fine with that because of the whole taking ages for you to rally. So it gave me
yeah,
another free turn to shoot you.
it
So
definitely there's definitely not so
mm,
much maneuverability in fleeing.
mm,
That it really feels like a negative.
yeah,
Because obviously, as you can see, the rally phase does come after movement
right at
magic
the
and
end.
shooting. So it does feel like a real negative if you're having to rally and be shaken. So it's a
Mm,
huge thing. I think a big emphasis on that in 3.0. But
Yeah.
after all said and done on this side, this is what it looks like in terms of the charging.
The Rampedons and the Raptors just like, where'd he go?
Yeah. Absolutely. But in terms of the movement, you sort of turn around to
yeah, the
face it
skinks know where he is, so they're going to go pew pew.
But yeah. You didn't. Interestingly, you didn't decide to go in against the Lion Chariot with your
No.
Saurus.
I didn't because I could see the trap being set for me, which was the big forest where I wouldn't get any of my ranks because I'd be disruptive. And I was still technically in the forest here. I was smidging in, and I was a bit worried about this disruptive thing. And because the other flank had been going so well, and I felt I was probably going to get the dragon, I didn't feel I needed to push, especially being 3-0 up on the objective. So I decided to not go into the Rymar trap and just to step back from the forest a little bit. I did get entwining roots off on the Rymar, and that meant that your charge distance was a bit less than it could have been, which also I hoped meant that you would hold off for a turn or two before where I could get a few more points off of you.
Yeah.
And indeed, the skinks do their job and shoot off the dragon with their enhanced magnetic short bows because of the metal armor and the strength 4 from the alchemical arrows. Really cool combo. Really enjoyed playing that. It might have been made better because of elves, but you know,
potentially. But yeah, you rally over here just to cause annoyance more than anything.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, we both know that you're not going to get an objective out of that because you haven't got a scoring unit facing them anymore. But it does mean that your lord has to spend extra time running after them.
Yeah, and over in the combat now it's 1-on-1. I decided to go for your skink character, who's in the front. Not so much armor on him, and he goes down, and I managed to hold. I don't think I managed to pass my command test because we haven't kind of gone through this without mentioning it. I don't think I passed my command test to turn to face.
Form.
That is
that's a straight D6 roll now, isn't it? Although your chariot has something called discipline, which meant he was doing it on a 3-up.
Yeah, there's a few rules in the game that change your command test, but on the whole, it's a 4+.
4-up.
You get to decide, but there are a few things that change that and give it plus or maximum.
Musician gives a +1. Discipline gives a +1. Unruly gives a -1. They're the ones that spring to mind.
Sure. I think there might be one other thing, but yeah. So there's that. So my BSB comes out on his own to help out the chariot, and my lord does in fact go after you and chases you off the board eventually because you flee.
I think I elect to flee, knowing that it's the same outcome as it used to be. So
yeah, exactly. But this is how it looks, and my Phoenix comes back at this point and is just annoying again back. You've got all his points, so it's not really. We both know you're not really going to charge anything, but just to stop any silly things happening against the BSB or the chariot, he goes there like so. I get Wheel of Woe off on you to make you charge. Make you reroll sixes.
Reroll 1/6s,
Yep, there. And in combat, I do 5 to your none. So it's looking pretty good there. Again, in terms of steady and steadfast, we've mentioned it very, very briefly, but it is quite an important role. It means here you were not steadfast, you were steady.
No,
and
I was steady.
Steady is kind of like the old steadfast rule with -3 is the thing that you would say.
Yeah, instead of it being you've got more ranks than your opponent, so you don't take any penalty on your discipline, you do suffer a penalty. It's a -3 at maximum.
Yes.
Right? Whereas if you can manage to be steadfast with loads of ranks, then then it is without a penalty to your discipline. So in this case, I was just steady because I had 1 rank and you had none on anything you had.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, you are steady. Worth thinking about this in terms of game things, because if I take off 1 model, or maybe I think it's 2 models on your temple guard, I think it means that they lose steadfast capability. So it's worth thinking about that in terms of battle building and the game. It is worth plinking away at bigger units to stop them having the ability to be steadfast.
Yeah,
in the
I'm
first
actually
place.
looking at this now, interestingly, and thinking, am I steady? Because I actually disrupted in the forest with the skink. So was I
Oh,
steady?
possibly not.
Maybe I just passed the test.
Disrupted just means you can't count it towards combat, whereas it doesn't mean you don't
Oh,
have them.
okay. Right. Okay. Yeah. There you go then. Yeah. Fair enough.
I believe that to be the case, but yeah.
Either way, I was borrowing the Tegu guards and I was minimised. So there is a chance I just pass. But
yeah, and this is something that we said we forgot within the game. So advantage position, so the +1 to wound. It says to a maximum of 3+ though, so you can never get better than a 3+.
Yes.
So if you're already getting 3+, then it doesn't improve you. But if you do get, if you're not there yet, then it really helps. So against those big monsters, that is going to really help for sure. Like earlier, for example.
Yeah.
However, we move on and we go on to the Saurian turn 5 movement. Again, electing not to take any chances with the Temple Guard.
No, just moved out of the forest completely this time. The Rampedons and the Raptors had done their part in the battle, and you didn't have any shooting left, so I was happy with them there. I did move up the Skink Gorillas with the Skink Veteran to shoot at the Phoenix, even though there was a lot of cover involved from the forest and stuff. Yeah, this was kind of like the end of the battle, really.
Yeah,
but it didn't seem like either one of us wanted a Ryan Ma versus Tegugar fight. I mean, I don't think it would have.
But not.
You wanted it, but on your own terms.
Yeah.
Which meant you needed a Lion Chariot and your characters with them at the same time. And I was backing off because I didn't need to fight that.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Kill the rejuvenated Phoenix.
Yeah. And then I kill your guys here. All but one, who annoyingly does stay where he is. There. I then carry on and do Wheel of Woes we've seen, and Whispers of the Veil, evocation spell, which is just -1 res. But just to again stop any silliness happening and you coming into me at all, I kill these guys and stay as I am. But as the last few turns have showed, no risks were taken. The win was in the bag. Why change that? And they moved back like so.
Honestly, I think if the forest wasn't there, I might have decided to take on that fight, either before or after the Lion Chariot became free.
Sure.
But while the forest was there and I was losing my ranks, it felt like too much of a risk. So.
It impacted it so much so far on what was really like advantageous for you. So it was the right choice in the end. And this is my movement. Just showing that I was like, okay, well, if you're going to back off, I can back off too.
Or just shake fists at each other.
Yeah, and they go behind the thing to view the rest of the battlefield with dead elves everywhere.
Indeed.
And definitely tails between their legs after getting, an interesting one. The right flank, as you can see, going kind of my way with the elves, and the left flank going Saurian's way. So when it came to adding up everything, because this was the last picture of the battle, we were like, well, how do we calculate who wins? Because that is a new game. So battle Vic points in terms of the same as the still VPs, and they're still winning the objectives. So that is a thing. Objectives are only 2 battle points though, not 3.
They are.
But
and it's only maximum of 14. It's not 20 nil system anymore.
Yeah, so that's and it's not your 20-0 sort of thing to start off with. So that's something to get used to as well. In terms of VPs, we've got destroyed units, shaken, decimated, shaken and decimated, and spoils. So they're extra things. So there's that. And then lastly, for any point total that you manage to do, they've got a nice table here to show you what it is. So 7-7 being the draw nowadays. There is secondary objective stuff, but we've completely ignored that to start off with to focus on the rules itself.
Yeah, we didn't have a secondary objective, and I think that's something that you can have in secret to each other. We decided not to play it because we thought plenty of time for that.
Absolutely. And
so I did it with a 9-5 because I was 20 point something points of percent into that table that you saw. Which meant it was a 9-5, and then the primary objective got me an extra 2 and took 2 away from yourself. which meant an 11-3 for the Saurians.
So a solid victory for the Saurians, and a good fun battle actually. Not too different, with some big differences, but not too different in terms of gameplay, which is an interesting takeaway.
Still felt
really,
like we were playing 9 days, in my opinion.
It did,
Still felt like 9 days.
I mean, there's definitely some fundamental differences, and we were very much playing this out just to see what the differences were and see if anything was affected. So, infantry I do think are generally better and have a bit more forgivability. Is that a word? Forgiveness in using them because of the reform. Yeah. There's also another rule called change facing that we didn't really talk about or come up, but which is like just at the end you can just sort of pivot a little bit or wheel, whatever.
Yeah, but there's no combat. There's no combat reform if you're out of combat.
Yeah,
you only combat reform while you're still in combat. So there's that. There is a little bit of a difference there. So have a little look at that paragraph when you get a chance to in the rulebook.
Yeah,
because there is a slight change there. But again, it didn't come into this one.
Didn't come into this one, and I'm sure when it does in our bat reps, we will focus on it heavily, and we'll keep the bat reps coming with this sort of style. Let us know if you like this style. Firstly, as well, whether you liked having the rules pop up and whether that was helpful. But yeah, that was it.
It helped me.
Well played.
Remember
Saurians.
What was going on?
Well played, Saurians. There.
Yeah, I've got some news for you as well, Lucky Sixes. After this one battle, I'm giving up 3.0. I'm retiring on this victory. I won't be playing anymore. 100% record. I feel like it's the right time.
Big announcement.
As if I am serious. Yeah, I would love to retire on 100% record, but unfortunately, I am a glutton for punishment, and I will no doubt lose that record very soon.
Most likely at the tournament where we come 0-5. I'm sure, both of us. But yes, so as we said, like, share, subscribe. Probably more importantly than ever, do comment on the video about what you thought, initial thoughts of 3.0 if you've played it. Initial thoughts of some of the rules that we've mentioned. We definitely haven't mentioned them all.
No.
But in summary, it's the same but not the same.
I like it. I'm a big thumbs up. I did say to you at the time, I've had a battle where I've won. That might cloud my opinion.
Sure.
And so I need a good trouncing before I make a full opinion. But obviously, I quite enjoyed this. I still felt like I was playing 9th Age. It didn't feel different to the extent that I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. Everything made sense once I got the hang of it. And I liked it. So I think we're in for an exciting time in 9th Age and 3.0.
But yeah,
and play y'all in some games.
Yeah, absolutely the same. I think Cardiff's our first tournament, and we'll be playing some in between and after as well. So looking forward to that. Also, as well as this video, do let us know what types of video you'd like to see. If there's any in particular, whether it is just simple book reviews or phase by phase videos, for example, things like that. So we've got a few ideas of our own, obviously, but if we can tailor it, we will try and do that as much as possible. And go check us out on the Twitters and the Facebooks and the forum, which has a new link, probably worth saying. It's community dot whatever it is first. But
you'll find it.
Yeah, if you go onto the old website, it just says no idiot, choose this link. So just click that link and then you'll get onto there. And then lastly, of course, is our Patreon. Keeps the lights on, which is good.
Please go over and support that as a paid member. There is an option to join it as a free member. Don't be one of those guys. Join it as a paid member, and that way you can support us because all the money goes back into the 9th Age community, as you well know.
Yeah.
We need to end this video because it's already crept to time limits. So let's say cheerio here, Lucky Sixes, and looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely. See you later.